Hello everyone, welcome to Indie World Global News. I'm your host Summer. Recently, India has successfully accomplished two tests of Brahmos missile that blew away both China and Pakistan. Indian Air Force has informed that the first test has been done with Sukhoi 30 MKI aircraft and the second test, which is being discussed less, but it was a more important test than the first one. Now the question is why the second test was so important. Let's analyze. A few days back, you all might have heard about the Neptune missile, which Ukraine had fired at Russia warship Moskva. Now, Ukraine had fired two Neptune missiles at Russian warship Moskva, and after that it was sunk. When this news came out, the Western and US media made a lot of noise that the Neptune missile that sank the Russian most prestigious warship is a very fast and powerful missile. But according to Russia, it says that their warship did not sink because of Neptune missile. There were some technical and hardware issues that made the warship sank. Now here, why we are discussing about the Neptune missile? It is very necessary to know here that what is the difference between Neptune missile and Brahmos missile. In Western media, they made such a hype about the Neptune missile just to draw the attention of the whole world. At first, when we got the news about this Neptune missile destroying Russian warship, then we all have once thought that it's a powerful missile. Now, if we analyze this Neptune missile properly, then it looks a lot like US Tomahawk missile and it works in the same way. Whereas the reality is that both of these missiles are completely scrap and junk in front of Brahmos missile. Now let me tell you about the Brahmos missile. Brahmos missile is a medium-range stealthy ramjet supersonic cruise missile that can be launched from submarine, ship, aircraft and land. Brahmos missile is a joint venture between the DRDO of India and NPOM of Russia. It is the fastest supersonic cruise missile in the world. The name Brahmos represents the Indian river Brahmaputra and the Russian river Moskva. Now, why India tested this missile after Ukraine had fired their Neptune missile at Russian warship, and why this test was so important for India? If you analyze deeply, then as I have said earlier, that Brahmos is a joint venture between the India and Russia government. Here it was a message that India and Russia have more advanced missile and firepower in the world. To illustrate the same point, the Brahmos missile was fired, that too without a warhead. Whenever the missile is tested, the warhead is not mounted on it. The result which came after its second test, this has created the most panic and fear to the whole world. During the test, Brahmos has pierced the ship without any warhead. It shows how much destruction this missile can bring if warhead is mounted. This means that only with the help of kinetic force and energy, this missile hit the target at such a high speed that it can easily tear the wall of any warship. Now, the target that was used during the test is an old mine harvester, which is too thick and which is very difficult to penetrate. But what Brahmos can do without a warhead, first of all, this has been proved. Here it can be seen very clearly that the Brahmos missile has not attacked from above, but from the very side coming from the surface of the sea. Now the problem with Brahmos was that it could only be mounted on modern ships, that ship which is built after 1990. Now there are many different class of ships in India. Some are new and some are too old. The newest destroyers class are the 1992 destroyers, which is called the Rajput class and the Delhi class. The test that has been done today was done by the destroyer of the Delhi class. So before that, Brahmos missile can be mounted only on modern ships. So the destroyers after Delhi and Rajput class are the modern Kolkata and Visakhapatnam class. The Brahmos that till now was mounted only on this Kolkata class and Visakhapatnam class, and because of this India has the dominance in all the region. But now this strength has been doubled because now Brahmos missile can be mounted on any class of ships from old Delhi class to modern Kolkata class. And also there are many sophisticated destroyers and Brahmos can be launched from them too. Apart from destroyers, India also has many frigates and corvettes. After today's test, Brahmos can be deployed on all these corvettes and frigates, and the power of India has increased more than 100 times. So the test that has been done today, even a small frigate ship will become capable of destroying the entire whole fleet at the same time. Recently, India made a deal of $375 million with the Philippines for Brahmos, but this deal could have been bigger if this test has been done earlier.
As far as we know, this is the major and the first deal which India has signed for a major full weapon system. This paves the way for many more to come forward. The Philippines government has chosen Brahmos as a company, and even after the signing of the implementing arrangement for defense equipment, they chose Brahmos as the first system which they want to buy, which shows that Brahmos is important for them, but they obviously have many more things to come ahead.
India and Russia constantly upgrading Brahmos to the next level. In this test, we got to see an upgradations how the Brahmos missile has gone flying only 1 meter above the surface of the water, that it is even more difficult to detect it in radar. Many European countries are cherishing and celebrating because of this Neptune missile, but the fact is that it flies very slowly and its firepower is 21 times less than Brahmos. The Russian destroyers Moskva that are being talked about in the entire US media and Western countries were the very old destroyers built in 1983. Even there are more advanced destroyers with Russia and also with India. Seeing the news of America and Western media once, we also felt as Ukraine had developed an advanced missile that destroyed the Russians' flagship destroyers. But as investigation was done, we all came to know that the Neptune missile that has been used on the warship was a very old ship. After sinking a 40-year-old ship, the Western media has nothing to say but had to cry behind it how the Neptune missile sank the Russian ship. If this Neptune missile could have sank any Russian advanced modern ship, then maybe we would say it is the most lethal weapon Ukraine has developed. But still, it is nothing in front of an advanced and powerful missile like Brahmos. Thank you. Keep watching Indie Global News. See you next time.